We were talking about healthcare spending. Healthcare spending has gone through the roof, particularly in the last 10 years. And there's a number of reasons for it, not the least of which is the aging, the graying of the population. More old people means more healthcare, more expensive healthcare. Plus, there have been a lot of advances, technological advances, and that means treatments that are more expensive or have not been covered by insurance as of yet. So those things are driving costs up dramatically. In 2015, which was 7 years ago, healthcare spending was $3.2 trillion, which was almost 18% of the gross domestic product of this country. So that's a sizable chunk of change. And it's expected to continue growing at a rate of almost 6% a year, which is more than the GDP growth rate. And until recently, it was much higher than inflation as well. So the estimates are that for 2025, which is 3 years from now, healthcare spending will account for full 20% of the gross domestic product, which is a lot. So this is catching a lot of people's attention, and of course, the strata of the society that suffers are the ones who don't have much money. If you got a job with good insurance, or if you got your own resources, if you got to spend on healthcare, you do. But particularly in this COVID pandemic, I've been reading stories about people who perhaps don't have health insurance, or they just don't have a lot of money, and there's no question about it, they get inferior care. And in the case of COVID, many of them died. I shouldn't say that, many more died, a higher proportion of them died, just for the sake of not being able to access good health care. Now, I don't care whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, especially if you know someone, especially if it's a family member who has suffered like this, it makes you angry. It makes you wonder why in the richest country in the world everybody doesn't have access to good health care. So I don't know what the solution is. There's certainly a need there. In some countries, European countries do it at a high cost. They have tax rates that are exorbitant, but there's got to be something that can be done. Okay? So, and again, there's been technological developments. Yeah, here are some of the causes, right? Older people, government policy. The government tries to step in and do something, and invariably they make it worse. Obamacare, which was good in theory, in practice, in application, wasn't very good. The healthcare exchanges were a disaster. I got caught up in that. I was on the exchanges for a period when I was self-employed, and it was terrible. So really three causes: aging population, government policy, and lifestyle changes. Now, I'm not sure what lifestyle changes directly has to do with it. I think people are generally living a more healthy lifestyle. I know I am. Whether it'll make me live longer, we'll see. But the development and use of new medical technology, such as new diagnostic procedures and treatments, also contributes to the increase in healthcare spending per person, which is kind of ironic. Again, generally new treatments are expensive, and it takes a while before they're covered by insurance, and so it jacks up the cost. Now, but there has been some progress. Okay, and here's a alphabet soup, some more terms for you. Electronic medical record and electronic health record. The real difference between these two, EMRs and EHRs, EMRs are not meant to be shared between hospitals and care groups, whereas EHRs is, on the other hand, whereas an EMR is a collection of health-related information on an individual that is created, managed, and consulted by authorized clinicians and staff within a single healthcare organization. The electronic health record, on the other hand, is a comprehensive view of the patient's complete medical history designed to be shared with anybody, with any authorized providers and staff from more than one organization. So the idea, again, is a good one. Somehow, an issue is where do you store these records centrally? And the logical choice would be at some government health organization. It'd be nice if you could put a chip under everybody's skin that they could carry around with them with their complete medical history, but I don't think that idea is going to get any traction anytime soon. Okay, so, but that was part of the purpose of HIPAA. HIPAA wasn't just about privacy of medical data. HIPAA was meant to be a policy incentive for hospitals and medical organizations to get off their duffs and start making use of electronic records, start showing progress. They were going to get more Medicare and Medicaid payouts if they showed some evidence of that. And HIPAA, when was it? 2015? No, early. It's been a while. It hasn't gotten there yet. Okay, so here's another term: the Health Information Exchange. Process of sharing patient-level electronic health information between different organizations. Health information exchange can result in more cost-effective and higher quality care by, for example, reducing redundant tests that are ordered. Okay, so, but a major stumbling block, a major impediment or issue that needs to be resolved in order to have an electronic exchange is the standardization of health data. It's got to be digital, and it's got to be standardized. This was an early problem in computers in general when Hewlett-Packard and IBM and Wang started to sell diverse hardware that used different protocols and had different circuitry in interior. They couldn't talk to each other. And so it became clear very early as the computer age burgeoned that you have to have some sort of standardization in order to set up networks. You have to have some sort of standard protocols by which computers could talk to each other. They didn't have that at first. The same was true of the techniques that were used to design, analyze and design requirements for very large computer information systems. All these organizations had their own proprietary modeling languages that were developed in-house by one organization, but they wouldn't apply outside of that organization. So the same wave, the same evolution occurred there, which was get a consortium of companies together and develop some sort of universally accepted code for modeling, which became the unified modeling language. Okay, so same thing with medical records. You got to have everything standardized so everything's compatible with everything. And my position is this: look at how online electronic banking has progressed. Sure, there's some problems every now and then, but by and large, it is mainstream now, and everybody uses it. If you can do something with such sensitive data like people's money, people get really funny about their money. And if you can do that, have an electronic medium that is successful for doing financial transactions for ordinary people across the world, talk about standardization, you can certainly do it for health data. At least you would think so. Okay, but it's easy for me to be a pundit, to be an armchair speculator, but I don't have to actually do it. So, okay, so the HITECH Act, this wasn't HIPAA, this was HITECH in 2009. No, this was HIPAA actually. This was part of HIPAA. It was 2009, so it was a long time ago. This is what established a program to incentivize physicians and hospitals to implement their EHR systems. And they did it with money. They said, hospitals are a business just like any other organization, and they're always looking out for their financial interests. And so they increased the Medicaid and Medicare reimbursements to doctors and hospitals that demonstrate meaningful use of EHR technology. So let's break here for a quick video.